Okay, hello everybody. My name's Jess Carter. I decided to do my topic brief on educational leadership. The reason I chose this topic brief was because as I've gone through the lead program at SUU, I've often wondered, do I have the skills that it takes to be an administrator? Do I have the ability to lead? And not only wonder about those questions, but also look at things in a manner of, what is leadership? Why do people lead? How do people lead? And I think in the program we get so many different theories and philosophies and leadership styles and all these things thrown at us, and it's great, but I believe it's hard to, kind of put everything together. And so what I've tried to do in this topic brief is to, put some things together that I think have been meaningful to me in my studies and learning, and hopefully you will find some meaning as well. So my focus of research is what is leadership, who is a leader, how to lead, and finally why lead. I found an article online, I believe it was on Forbes.com, and author Kevin Kruse, and he talked about what leadership is and what leadership isn't. I really liked this. It rang true to me, and so I'm going to share this with you. So I'll start off with what is not leadership. Leadership is not a seniority or hierarchical position in a company, and it's definitely not a title. Somebody can have the title of manager or, you know, who knows, collaboration team leader, whatever, and not necessarily be a leader. Also, just being in an organization for a period of time doesn't make you a leader. Leadership isn't necessarily a set of personal attributes. And finally, one thing I liked was he said that leadership is not management, meaning that, it's not necessarily about, you know, making sure everybody's punching the clock in, working all day, and punching the clock out. A lot of times, leadership is about development of people. So, what is leadership then? Well, according to this author, leadership stems from social influence, not authority or power. Um, how do you interact with the people around you? How do you treat them? Are you interested in developing those people as human beings, or are you just interested in getting a job done? This leads into the next thing where leadership requires others. Um, a leader can be a lonely person, but you really are focusing on the people. This author says there are no direct personal traits, attributes, or even title. There are many paths to effective leadership. And finally, leadership includes a goal, not influence with no intended outcome. You have to have a direction, a vision of where you want to go and where you want to be. So, who is a leader? And I looked at many articles on this. Um, is what type of people are leaders and how do they become a leader? And there's lots of different theories. Four that I picked out are called great man theory, situational management theory, and relationship theory. The great man theory basically states that, leaders are born. Um, there's an inherent set of traits that a leader has to possess, and that you can't just develop those. You're born with them. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this theory, but it's interesting to think about. I think that there are some traits that people are born with. I'm sure that all of you, you've always in your life wanted to step up and be in the forefront, not content to just be behind, sitting, waiting, reacting. You wanted to be up there in that proactive state. The situational theory states that, leaders are created based on the situations they're placed in. People get put in these situations and they become a leader. Uh, I think in class, Dr. McCoy showed us a clip from Saving Private Ryan, and the commander of the group, was a teacher, and he gets put in this situation to command these men and becomes a different person because of that. That's an example of situational theory. Management theory. I don't think management theory is a very good um, leadership style, but some people get put in a management position and they decide, okay, all I'm concerned about is getting the job done. And so that defines their leadership style. And finally, relationship theory, where you're focused on the human beings. And so you become a leader because of the relationships you have with those around you, not necessarily those above you, but those around you. How to lead. We all read the book, Reframing Organizations. I really like that book. I really think that the frames of structural, human resource, political, and symbolic are really necessary inside the public school. I think that we need to give them some definite thought as we become educational leaders. There's definitely structure within a public school. There's definitely a human resource aspect within the public school. Absolutely, there's politics. And then, of course, symbolism within school. Again, Dr. McCoy had the guest speaker from Southern Utah, and he spoke about how he wore his uh, game shirt to support his son's basketball team, even though he was a principal of the other high school, and how that created some chaos among some of the parents. So we have to give uh, thought to these frames as we lead. Finally, I want to kind of wrap up here with why we lead. I found a couple great quotes. Leadership is not an obligation but an opportunity. And I think that's why I want to become an educational leader, a principal. I want the opportunity to step up. I want the added um, commitments and those things, and I want to see what I can do. I want to test myself against those things and see how I can improve a school. And finally, a leader is someone who feels that they can act change and has the ability to make a positive difference each day. You know, that's a teacher right there. That, to me, that is absolutely describing what teachers do. I've long felt that if I finish this degree and become a principal, awesome, that's great. And if I finish this degree and don't become a principal, that's awesome and great too. I'm going to go back in my classroom and I'm going to be a leader in my classroom like I have been for my 5 years of teaching, because I know that I have the ability to make a positive difference each day. Just to touch on what I found in my field activities, I did a little bit of work both at an elementary and a secondary school. I found that leadership varies at different levels. There's different requirements, different things that they have to do. But what I noticed is that a lot of those skills transfer across the different levels. Um, so, the elementary principal doesn't necessarily have to go out and do supervision at a dance or a football game, but they still have to be good with people. They still have to know kids, tendencies, their capabilities. They have to be that human resource leader. They have to have that structure within the school. It's just different. And finally, I just want to emphasize something that I noticed at the schools in my field activities. There really is no single best way to lead. Leadership is so strange because it can be so many different things, and it can look so many different ways, and it can work. It doesn't there's not a formula. There's not a manufactured process ABCD that makes this leadership. Um, but I put here there are some universal truths to leadership, and I think the main universal truth of leadership: you have to be good with people, and you have to be good to people, and you have to you have to like people and care about people and want to see people grow around you. And I think that's universal, no matter what, how you approach those things, that's what makes a great leader. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you want to actually read my topic brief, go ahead and send me an email. I'd love to share it with you. And I hope this has been helpful to you in your leadership experience. Thank you.